Yes, I'm a good person. I am. I can prove it to you. Whenever it snows, not only do I shovel my driveway, I shovel the driveways of the two oldest people in my neighborhood.
Okay.
And then I go to the third oldest person's house and I watch as they shovel their own driveway. And I say, maybe next year. I do that. I do. When my neighbor Virgil moved in, he's in his 70s. He moved here from Arizona. And the first time it snowed, I went over and I shoveled his driveway. And he came over and he's like, hey, you didn't have to do that. I said, I know I didn't have to. I'm a good person. He said, well, I got to get you something. Well, what do you like to drink? I told him I'm a bourbon man. The next day I come outside, there in my driveway, a bottle of Maker's Mark, one of my favorite bourbons. Yeah, and that kind of became our ritual, you know. Every time it snows, I shovel or I rake his leaves or something, bottle of Maker's Mark right there in the driveway. Because last week it snowed, I shoveled Virgil's driveway. I come out the next day, brown paper bag, I open it up, there's a bottle of Jim Beam sitting there. What the fuck? Did I just get demoted? Because I used to work in a law firm, and 3 years ago, the managing attorney called me into her office, and she said that due to the economy, they were going to be reducing my salary by $12,000 per year. This bourbon thing hurt worse than that. I used to be a lawyer. I was a bankruptcy lawyer for 12 years. I lost my job at the beginning of the pandemic. I was furloughed and then fired, which at first it was fine, because I was getting that unemployment money, you guys. And look, I don't know why everyone's always bad-mouthing welfare. It's awesome. It's amazing. I got to do whatever I wanted to all day long, and they just kept mailing me money. It was like being at rich kid summer camp. I didn't have any of the problems you normally hear associated with welfare. You know, I didn't suddenly have a bunch of babies or like develop a drug problem. Like I was doing drugs, but it wasn't a problem. I had all the free time in the world. But then the unemployment ended and things got a little tougher for us, you know. We're getting by. Like my wife actually started working a second job to help make ends meet. And I've been thinking about making her get a third one. No, we had to sit down last October. We had to look at our bills, look at our budget, look at the money we had coming in, and we had to make some tough financial decisions. And we ended up doing something that I think a lot of people thought about doing back in 2020. We bought a hot tub. No, that's not true. We financed a hot tub, you guys. 22 more payments and that bad boy is ours. Our family told us it was a bad idea. They're like, you don't have a job, why would you do that? I don't care, I love that hot tub. It's incredible. I built a deck around it, I put a big TV out there. I can just sit outside all night and watch whatever I want. I just finished rewatching Game of Thrones with my 10-year-old neighbor whose window overlooks the yard. He was homeschooled last year, and believe me, he got an education. I told that joke in Topeka like 3 months ago, and this older woman sitting in the front row very loudly went, "That's kind of creepy." To be clear, the kid's not in the hot tub with me. You get that, right? I'm in the tub, he's like looking through his blinds in his bed. If anyone's creepy in that scenario, it's that kid, right? I'm just a dude trying to unwind after a long day. He's the one going all rear window on me over here. Secondly, and much more importantly, the child in that joke doesn't exist. It's a joke, I made it up. I'm making all this shit up. You have no idea what's real and what's not. Look at your faces. You look so stupid right now. Now, I had to start looking for jobs, I did. It was tough. I was a lawyer for 12 years, so I started looking for other lawyer jobs, but they kept telling me I didn't have enough relevant experience. So I started applying for like normal jobs, like you people would work. And they kept telling me I had too much experience. It was baffling, you know. I applied for a job at a liquor store, literally just to have some money come in, you know. And the first thing this woman said to me, she goes, "You are overqualified for this position." And I just snapped, you know. I was like, who the hell told you how much I drink? Drink break. I started Uber driving 6 months ago. Have some money coming in. It's fun. I actually like it. It's a lot of fun. I was nervous about it. I thought the hardest part about Uber driving for me was going to be just trying to make small talk with a series of drunk strangers all night. Turns out I'm great at that. It's basically what I'm doing right now. No, the hardest part about Uber driving is not farting in my car. For real, like, that's like one of the 3 places in the world where I was comfortable doing that, and now I can't. It was like my bed, my car, and every movie theater I've ever been in. The biggest surprise to me when we were driving is the personal things that people will tell me while I'm driving them. It's crazy the kind of stuff people tell me while I'm driving them home at night. Like, you guys remember the show Taxi Cab Confessions? We had on HBO. It was like where like people were just driving cabs and strangers would get into the car and just tell them these like seriously like personal stories about their lives. When I used to watch that as a kid, I was like, that has to be fake. There's no way people really do that. 6 months into Uber driving, I'm like, you know what? They probably had to edit a lot of stuff out of that show. All the crimes they admitted to, they had to take that out. Like, there's this girl named Katie. I've driven her like 6 times now, and every time I drive her, I get to know a little bit more about her story, and it just gets more and more depressing. So like the last time I picked her up, here's what I already knew. I knew her name is Katie, she's 23, she just moved to Lawrence from Arizona. She was in a relationship in Arizona with a guy named Gary, who was 73. Her and Gary had a 2-year-old baby who she brought with her to stay with her mom now. That's what I knew about Katie coming in. So I pick her up the last time, start driving, and she starts telling me more. She tells me when her and Gary were together in Arizona, they like to take Rohypnol together. Which for those of you who didn't have Dare, that's roofies. They would take roofies for fun, because what's better than a party you're not going to remember the next day? At least that's what she thought was happening. Here's what was really happening. Gary was making her take roofies, and then letting his friends have sex with her while he watched. Yeah, I know. And the baby she had with Gary, he's not the dad. It's one of these other guys, but she doesn't know which one. Guys, she told all of this to a stranger during a 5-minute Uber run. And I had no idea how to respond to that. I'm not trained for that. So I just said the same thing I say to everyone. I was like, well, have a nice day. When I was a lawyer, people were always like, oh, that must be good for jokes. You must get a lot of good jokes out of that, right? Not really. You can't tell jokes about stuff you do when you're a lawyer. You can't talk about clients. My boss would always call me and be like, hey, remember, you can't talk about our cases, can't talk about our clients. We have attorney-client confidentiality. That could be malpractice. Uber doesn't give a shit. That story I just told you about Katie, that's her real name. I could give you her address. You could go to Lawrence and find her and ask her if the things I said about her are real, and she couldn't do a thing about it. There is no Uber client confidentiality, you guys. My old boss actually called me last week. She asked me if I'd be interested in coming back, doing some work from home part-time on an independent contractor basis, just helping with some cases. And I said, yeah, I'd probably do that. She said, okay. Well, think about compensation-wise, what you think would be fair. And I said, I already have. I won't do it for anything less than Maker's Mark. That's called a callback, you guys, and only really good comedians can do that. That's fun, man. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for supporting local comedy. This is awesome. Yeah, this is a good-looking crowd, too. This is guys and girls here. Very good-looking crowd for Wichita. Now it is. My dude over here's got a great beard going. Yeah, you got tattoos? No? Come on, man. Beards and tattoos. That's the thing. Every guy in Lawrence is too poor. Wichita, I get it. Every guy in Lawrence between 25 and 35, though, has a beard and tattoos all over their arms. You know who has to be pissed off about that? Bikers. Guys, bikers spent the last 60 years developing a reputation for being like the toughest people around. You knew them by their distinctive beards and tattoos, right? It used to be if I went into a bar and I saw 2 guys shooting pool, big beards, tattoos on their arms, I'd be like, oh my God, those guys look like Hell's Angels. Let's get out of here. Guy probably just got out of prison or something. If I go into that same bar today, I see those same 2 guys, I'm like, oh my God, that guy looks like a graphic designer. Looks like he has an Instagram account that's just his cat doing scenes from The Big Lebowski. He calls it the Big Meowski, you guys. know. Maybe I'm jealous, guys. I can't grow a full beard. This is actually as hairy as my face gets right here. Thank you. The beardless. Yeah, we need a union. When I was in college, my girlfriend one day, she's like, why don't you have a beard? I like beard. You should grow a beard. And I said, I can't grow a full beard. It's not that unusual. In fact, Justin Timberlake can't grow a full beard either. Which at the time I thought was true. And she proceeded to launch into a lengthy list of reasons why I had no business comparing myself to Justin Timberlake. And I got pissed. Not because of what she was saying, because of how well prepared she was. I don't know. Maybe it means I'm not a man. If I can't grow a beard, I'm not manly. You know, I like to think I'm manly. I like to think I do things that are like stereotypically guy stuff. You know, like I like woodwork. I like to build stuff with my hands. I drink alcohol to excess nearly every night. I'm constantly taking credit for women's ideas. You know, guy stuff. I'm not a beer commercial guy, you know, I'm not. I don't drive a big truck. My friends and I have never just like stopped at a field to play football. I've never had sex with twins. Or even a twin as far as I know. Although it's never occurred to me after sex to be like, hey, you know where I can find another one of you? I never got the twin thing. I never understood that. I've never once been intimate with a woman and be like, you know what really picked this up a notch for me? Some incest. Yeah. Let's get some family in here. There's your grandpa. Is he spry? Does he have good knees? Call him up. Get him over here. You guys think they should call having sex with a much older relative ancest? Guys, that's the best joke you're going to hear tonight. I'm sorry. I can remember the first time I felt like a man, you guys. First time I felt manly. It was the first day of school of 8th grade. I was at lunch. I was at a table with a bunch of my stupid friends. There was a table of girls from our class sitting next to us. And as we were eating, I could hear the girls describing the changes to the boys' bodies, you know? Being like, did you guys see how tall Jesse got? Did you see Blaine's muscles? And I hear this girl, Lindsay Voth, who I can use her name because she's dead. To me, she's dead to me. I hear Lindsay say, did you guys hear how deep Cody's voice got? And that really got my attention because I was Cody. I still am. And she turns around and she goes, hey, Cody. And I did this super cool, super slow turn. And I was like, yeah. And all these girls' eyes lit up. And I was like, oh my God. I'm gonna have so much sex in the 8th grade. This is gonna be incredible. That didn't happen, you guys. Because her next question was, what'd you do this summer? And I, still very low, very cool, said, I went to space camp. And I remained a virgin for 4 more years. I was elected the president of virginity that day. Daniel from Space Camp here tonight. Give it up for Daniel. It's like, that shit is real. A lot of virgins in Space Camp. Oh man, guys, I'm gonna get out of here in a minute. I got a couple more jokes for you. I have some koozies that I sell for like gas money. They're $5. They say Cody Lindenberger Comedy on one side, and on the other side, it's the Big Meowski. If you want one of these, find me after the show. I'll be somewhere by the bar or the pool table or something. And if not, that's fine. No, I'm happy I don't have to try to like be manly now. I've been married for 12 years. I don't have to try to like hit on women anymore, which is great because I never learned how. Back when my wife and I were still dating, I was at a house party with a friend of mine, you know. And I'll be honest, I feel like we're all friends now. I was being delightful. I was being really funny. People were paying attention to me. I was having a good time. And my friend came over to me. He's like, hey man, just so you know, that girl over there, she asked me what your deal is. You know, asking like whether I'm in a relationship or single or that's what she meant. That's not what I thought she meant. I thought she was asking whether or not I'm autistic. Not the first time I fielded that question. And I went up to her and I said, probably the worst thing you could say to someone considering you as a viable candidate for sex. I go up and I'm like, well, I've never been tested. never even numbers, and I find patterns very reassuring. Are we doing this or not? Guys, I'm Cody Lindenberger. Thank you so much. Give it up for Ronnie.